Hi, my name is Nicole Flanagan, and I am a student in Florida. So today I will be demonstrating a 4th grade English language arts lesson aligned to Florida's best standards. And the specific standard I'll be focusing on is ELA 4R22. And that standard is explain how relevant details support the central idea, implied or explicit. By the end of the lesson, my goal is that students will be able to identify the central idea of an informational text and explain how the supporting details help us understand the text better. I plan to use examples, discussion, and a fun donut-themed activity to try and make it a little bit more memorable. Okay. Hi class, so today we are going to learn how to find the main idea and its supporting details in informational texts. So the best way to imagine this is a donut. So our main idea is the big idea, or what the author wants us to understand about what they wrote. So when we think of this in a donut, we're going to look at the donut itself as the main idea. You could eat a donut by itself without sprinkles, but it's not as good as it could be, right? So we're going to add the supporting details onto our donut. Supporting details are sentences. They could be sentences, words, examples, facts, anything that describes or explains the main idea. So we're going to add the sprinkles onto our donut, but I also want you to think about it this way as well. So like I said, you could eat a donut without the sprinkles, and the donut will still be a donut if it doesn't have sprinkles. But the sprinkles, the supporting details, can't be a donut by themselves. The supporting details need the main idea to, not make a huge mess. So we're going to add our details back. So we're going to start by just reviewing this one more time. So the main idea is the big idea, or what the author wants us to understand. The supporting details are sentences that describe or explain the main idea. And remember, these can be sentences, facts, examples, anything that makes you realize, hey, this is what the author wants me to understand. So I'm going to read you guys a paragraph, and I'm going to try to find the main idea. So before I even start reading, I'm going to be thinking to myself. As I read, I'm going to think, what does the author keep repeating? What words does he keep using? What is this author trying to tell me? So let's read this one out loud. Winter can be a tough time for animals. Many animals have special ways to deal with the cold weather. Some animals, like bears, hibernate. This means they sleep for a long time, using stored body fat for energy. Other animals, like birds, fly south to warmer places. This is called migration. Some animals, like rabbits, grow thick fur to keep them warm. These are all examples of how animals adapt to survive in the winter. So as I was reading, remember I told you, you have to be thinking, what does this author want me to know? What is they trying to tell me? So I know I kept hearing a lot about animals in this paragraph. Yes, so I heard the word animals, I heard warm and winter, survive. So I'm going to say that my central idea is animals adapting to survive during the winter. I feel like, in my mind, that is what the author was trying to explain to us here. And what are some of the clues the author gave me about this detail, or about this main idea? So some of the supporting details that I picked up on were bears like to hibernate. Well, I know that bears hibernate in the winter. Another detail is that birds fly south to find a warmer place. Well, I know that birds migrate when it gets cold. And one more, that rabbits grow thick, warm fur so they don't get cold. Well, I would imagine that these animals would only be cold in the winter. And doing things like this would help them be nice and cozy in the winter. So this is my donut. Animals adapt to survive during the winter. And then some of my sprinkles are bears hibernate, birds migrate, rabbits grow warm fur. So to explain this, if I wanted to explain this to you and you hadn't read this, I would write my own sentences. So we have some sentence starters here if you get stuck and need a way to explain this. But to reword it, I could say, the main idea of this text is that animals adapt to survive during the winter. So that is telling someone else what the main idea is. And to describe, we want to describe at least 2 supporting details. So one of my supporting details, I'm going to write, one detail that supports this main idea is that bears will hibernate when cold weather starts. That's a way that bears adapt. Another sentence I could write to explain the supporting details would be, another detail that supports animals having special ways to survive winter is that some birds migrate to warmer weather before winter. So that's another example of animals adapting to survive during colder weather. Okay, so does anyone have any questions, or would you guys like to try to find the main idea and supporting details of this text? Okay, let's read along with me and I will read it aloud again. So, polar bears are magnificent creatures that inhabit the Arctic region. They have thick white fur that camouflages them in the snowy environment, making it easy to hunt their primary prey, seals. Underneath their fur, polar bears have a layer of fat that insulates them against the freezing temperatures. These bears are excellent swimmers, using their strong front paws to navigate icy water. With climate change causing ice to melt, polar bears face challenges in finding sufficient hunting grounds and maintaining their populations. Okay, did everyone remember what you were supposed to be thinking while I read that? Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking, what words do I keep hearing? What is this author trying to tell me? Does anyone have an idea about what the author could be trying to tell you? And that would be our main idea? Yes, perfect. polar bears have special body parts and skills that help them live in the cold Arctic, but melting ice makes it harder to find food. So this is going to be our donut, our main idea, that polar bears and their special body parts and skills help them live in the Arctic, but the ice that is melting is making it harder for them to find food. Okay, and what gave you this conclusion? What led you to this main idea? Your supporting details. Does anybody have an idea? Yes, perfect. So they have thick white fur and fat to keep them warm and camouflaged. One more, we need one more supporting detail. Perfect, yes, that's correct. That's a great supporting detail. These bears are excellent swimmers, using their strong front paws to navigate icy waters. So you're right, that's a special body part that helps the bears live in the cold weather. And I came up with a supporting detail as well. Climate change causing ice to melt is causing polar bears to face challenges. So now we would have put our main idea in the center of our donut and then written in our sprinkles, and then we want to come up with some sentences so we can explain this to someone else. So our first sentence the main idea of this text is that polar bears have special body parts and skills that help them live in the cold Arctic, but melting ice makes it harder for them to find food. Okay, so that is our main idea. And let's go with the first supporting detail. One way polar bears survive in the Arctic is by having thick white fur and a layer of fat that will keep them warm and help them blend into the snow. And our second supporting detail, climate change is causing ice to melt, making it harder for polar bears to hunt. Okay, so that was great work with everyone, listening to the paragraph and figuring out the main idea and its supporting details. So now that we have practiced together finding the main idea and the details, we're going to use what we have learned. So what we're going to do is we have a little activity, and we're going to start with a worksheet that has another paragraph on it over here, and then we have our donut. So I want everyone to read this paragraph. You're going to work with partners as well. So you and your partner are going to read, one of you is going to read it aloud to the other, this paragraph, and as you're reading, you're going to be thinking, one partner is going to be thinking, what do I keep hearing? What is this author trying to tell me? So after you've read it and the other partner has heard, you guys are going to come up with the main idea. And you're going to write the main idea in the middle of the donut. And then you're going to come up with some supporting details. And you're going to write your supporting details on these little colorful pieces of paper. These are going to be our sprinkles. And when you're done writing, you can tape your sprinkles onto your donut. And then after you've completed this page, taping your sprinkles, we're going to take our writing paper and using our donut worksheet, and if you need them, the sentence starters, if you get stuck, you're going to write a paragraph with at least 3 sentences on your notebook paper. And these sentences, one sentence needs to explain to me the main idea, or what you guys think the main idea is. And then you need at least 2 different supporting details. So 2 things in this paragraph that made you think that, hey, that is what the author is trying to tell me. So when you and your partner are all done, if you would just bring your donut up to me, we'll take a look at it. And if you and your partner were correct in explaining the main idea and have at least 2 supporting details, you'll get a donut to enjoy yourselves. And that's it for the lesson. I also, for different learners, I also have a different different sprinkles that, some of the kids are struggling to read, or if it's, they have accommodations on their IEP, or English learners. I did some multiple choice supporting details, and I would work together with them in a small group to help them find the central idea and which of these are good supporting details. And everyone else had blank ones to write their own. So thank you.